Alright, welcome back, people. Hope you're having a great week, and we begin. Yes, welcome back, guys. How have you been? Here we are once again with day number 19 of review of Sacred 2. I bet you see that there's something quite different right now going on. Quite interesting. We'll get to that in a second. You'll see. Alright. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to day number 19 of analysis. And for today we have several things to do. As you can see, surprise, surprise, things have changed a little. But first, before we begin with that, before we get into the game, huge thanks to... Let me refresh the chat. Let me see that everything's working. Looks like the stream is not. There we go. Connect. The chat is not connecting. There we go. Please let me connect over there. There we go. First of all, before we begin, before we get into all of the things that we have to cover today, sorry that I arrived 22 minutes late. I'm a bit late. I know that the other day we arrived earlier and today we arrive a bit late, but promise it won't happen again. There were two specific exceptions. As I've said, the other day was a relative's birthday. That's why I had to stream a bit earlier, and essentially today I just arrived at home, and well, anyways, I calculated it properly. The thing is that Streamlabs got updated, and that delayed me even more. All right, people. First of all, before we begin, huge, deep thanks, truly from the bottom of my heart, as I always say, to Crowbar. I know there's a 4 instead of an A, but I probably assume that the original nickname you wanted to select was Crowbar. So huge thanks from the bottom of my heart, Crowbar. You followed the channel while it was offline. So right now, as I start the stream, thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you drop by the stream, don't worry, I will repeat it again. I'll repeat the message so you can see it on stream, and thank you personally, as I always like to do. It's always important to be always thankful to all of you, because you are people. I think the word follower, it's a terribly chosen word. I would choose something like colleague, or well, I would even use friend, but colleague is extremely appropriate, because you guys are an integral part of the stream. Since each one of you is an integral part of the stream, whether you drop by the stream or not, whether you watch it as a YouTube VOD or you join me live. Of course, I always deeply love it when you all join me while I'm streaming, and we can chat about the game and all of those things. Of course, I especially appreciate it. But you're all an integral part of the stream, since you all encourage me, are the very reason that truly encourages me to continue showcasing and exploring and reviewing and doing my long crazy analysis about all of these games, and playing them, since it's what encourages me to continue doing so. Never doubt it. You are all an integral part of the stream. So thanks, Crowbar, for being the 26th follower of the Twitch channel. As I've said, I think it's a shitty word. I hate this social media era in which everything is measured with the word subscriber or follower. I would use colleague because of what I've said, because it's an integral part of the stream. It's the most important part. The games are amazing and everything, but they would mean nothing without. They wouldn't mean anything without you guys appreciating my reviews of them and everything I do to explore all of these games that certainly, sadly, deserve more praise, and no one pays attention to. So, once again, thanks, Crowbar, from the bottom of my heart. Alright. With the most important part ready, let's get to the next part of the stream. Well, as you can see, people, we have several things to talk about today. I've been farming, as you can see. I've been leveling up my abilities. I've changed my skill tree. But before we get into all of that, as you can see, the user interface is now silver. Now, why is it that the user interface is now silver instead of gold as it usually was? Well, when you purchase Sacred 2 on Steam or Google Games, it is called the Gold Edition. I'll explain it as we do this quest. We have to kill some ghosts here. In case you're interested, in the previous stream we killed the bloodthirsty, our 5th Worldboss, which was the bloodthirsty werewolf. So we did a Worldboss, and now we have a second Worldboss right there that we are gonna take care of. It's a ghost, so it has a pretty high defense against physical attacks, which is the main type of damage that you usually deal. So it's pretty hard to hit. I couldn't kill it last time. It mopped the floor with me, but that won't be the case today. As a reference, we've been playing a bit more difficult. We've been playing a much more, not a bit, a much more difficult version of the game than what is intended. Now, before we get into my new skill tree, why is the user interface silver instead of gold? Well, the base game is gold. It's called the Gold Edition on Steam. I had the mod order of the community patch applied incorrectly. And when I say incorrectly, I think that part of partially the community patch wasn't working. Remember that the community patch precisely fixes the memory leak crash and some other things. So challenge mode was working. I had something activated which was challenge mode. It's kind of like the mod order was not properly applied. Like, the community patch mod order was not properly applied because there was a core that I skipped, even if it said required, don't know why. So I checked my mod order, and after checking my mod order, I realized that there was a core that said required before installing the community patch, that it wasn't installed, that I hadn't installed it. I didn't pay attention, there was no guide. I don't know. I honestly don't remember reading the guide a year ago when I installed the community patch. I honestly don't remember reading about a mod order. So I checked my mod order and I realized that there was a mod different to the community patch, but it said core required, as in required for the community patch to work clearly, because as soon as I installed it, boom, my interface became silver, platinum, instead of gold, which is the base vanilla version. And a lot of things started working properly, so the community patch started working properly. Notice that enemies are level 52 and I am level 50. Yes, after that I've been testing the changes, and yes, essentially now enemies scale properly according to the community patch notes. Do you remember that previously enemies would remain at the same level? That was presumably because the community patch wasn't properly applied, because my mod order didn't include this this core thingy, this second mod that apparently it did say required. So I bet it was important. So I took out all of the mods, I reapplied the mod order, and a lot of things magically got balanced and fixed. Like for example, enemies scaling above your character's level after some time that you haven't been killed, which I think it's a change introduced with the community patch. Also, I applied some extra modules, like for example the modernized icons. Sorry to all of you who enjoyed the classic original icons of Sacred 2. But here, as you can see, my combat abilities icons are kind of like updated. I think they look much better than the originals because I think they are more visually descriptive. But well, to each their own. Probably die-hard fans of the game will prefer the original icons. Well, in that case, it's easy to not to. In that case, it's easy not to choose these ones. So yeah. And then, for example, the opponent, the enemies, for example, that you killed, they also have improved portraits. Also, the user interface is slightly changed. The only mystery that I don't know why it happened, I promise it didn't get killed. My horse disappeared. Fortunately, my spider is still there. I don't know why. As soon as I applied them all, my horse vanished. Don't ask me why. Don't know why. It didn't get killed. Trust me, it didn't get killed this time. I'm 100% sure of it. It simply disappeared. It probably has to do with the fact that the community patch somehow interferes with that. Well, as you can see, weather effects were fixed the other day when I installed the physics engine. So I think that by now we've completely fixed the game. Now, I'm not saying that the game won't crash ever again, because in the very patch notes of the community patch, it does say that it doesn't fix crashes 100%, it won't fix them 100%, but they should be reduced significantly, right? Like, at least I do hope it won't crash every hour. Perhaps it will crash every 3 hours, every 5 hours, I don't know. So far, I've tested it for 2 hours, and it only crashed after I deliberately forced the game to kind of like using the minimap, using the world map, and going back and forth between regions, but without giving the game any rest. It's the only moment in which it crashed. I've seen a performance improvement. It's not that choppy now, the game, when loading textures. So I think that even if it crashes, this is the best version. Now I've truly done everything. Now I can somehow, if the game stops crashing, if from now on the game stops crashing under normal circumstances, 3 to 5 hours of gameplay, I will start going back to the trimmed elite textures and those things, right? Like, I've lowered the textures, but we will increase them again as soon as I verify that it won't break. Well, hope you used all of this time to appreciate the revamped icons. And as you can see, I've been farming runes, and I leveled up this ability, which I found out to be quite good. It's called Dislodged Spirit. I don't like that it's melee. But it's essentially the best ability I could stumble upon against bosses. As you can see, it will cut enemy stats almost in half for minus 44.9% for 10 seconds. It's already modded. I couldn't get to the third mod. I redistributed my talents. As you can see, I reduced my toughness a bit, so if blows do land, will be a bit more squishy, but that shouldn't happen because I increased my dexterity. Here I distributed my talents a bit better. We had essentially 50 talents all on intelligence. I distributed them a bit more on vitality and dexterity, and dexterity gives us defense, which is evasion in this game. So as you can see, my defense is now 453, which is a lot. You'll see that enemies rarely hit me if they are not bosses, of course, if they are not extremely powerful. I have 263 potions. Buying them, they weren't naturally farmed, but I could get to a standstill where I don't, where I get a positive ratio in which I get potions. So enemies rarely hit me. I added this ability, this dislodged spirit ability. I leveled it up. I got the runes. I changed my second combo. I swapped a Raving Thrust for Clustering Maelstrom because it's area of effect, as far as I can tell. And it's basically the same with physical damage. It won't deal a lot. Supposedly the corpses, collision and those things, I think it's not a reliable way of dealing area of effect damage. We're expecting corpses to collision with other corpses, but well, it's better than having a single target ability like that one. Right. So Dislodged Spirit, I had a penalty because first I leveled this up a bit beyond level 25, which is the limit that you can see there. Highest combat level art without penalty, and my cooldown was quite high. Was a bit higher, and I could reduce the cooldown to 38 seconds from, it was kind of like at 60 or something like that. So, and this one I already reduced it to 17.8, so we have pretty good cooldowns. With the community patch activated, a lot of things have fixed. For example, as I've said, enemies going above their level when it's been a long time since I haven't been killed, and some changed effects. For example, reverse polarity. You can see here that my passive buff is now purple instead of green, which I think makes a lot of sense. I think it has a lot of cohesion because if you can see here, the main color palette of the Astute Supremacy lore here of the skill tree branch is purple, and it's the main predominant color palette. And here you can see that all of the names are even in purple, in that strong purple, pinkish purple. So I think it makes sense to make the animation of reverse polarity that pinkish purple. So good. I've added improved portraits. It was another mod. And I've assigned my shortcuts to my relics. As you can see in the bottom left corner of the screen, I can now easily swap between them, and that causes my defenses, as you can see, to be perfectly increased in at a moment's notice immediately. Like that, the game is meant to be played like that. With these new shortcuts, I can ramp up any of those stats immediately, so I can go up against any enemy that has that particular attack type. So yes, hopefully now the community patch is properly applied and everything. If we verify that it works, then I'll show you my mod order so you can replicate it. And hopefully the game should finally, after 19 tries, should finally stabilize a lot. The frame rate is much more stabilized, and trust me people, in terms of the mod order, I don't remember reading any guide, I don't remember anything. I had to do trial and error. As I've said, I am probably wrong, and there is a guide or somewhere where it tells you what's the mod order, the order in which you have to apply the mods, but I honestly don't remember reading it. If I had to say, it doesn't say it anywhere over at the dark matter forums of the game. So yes, in my case at least, it was trial and error. But well, I think I figured out the correct mod order, and now, because of the change in the user interface, I do believe it's working. Not only that, as I've said, now enemies are scaling properly. There you can see that enemies are level 52 and I'm level 50. Previously to this mod order change, they wouldn't go above my level, and in the community patch notes said that they should go above my level. We were also playing a much harder version of the game. So yes, because I had a module called challenge mode, which kind of like is used to be applied on top of the increased difficulty, of the game. So we were playing a much harder version of the game, which certainly didn't, have anything to do with the original experience. So now it should be much more balanced. Now everything should work, and hopefully, the game shouldn't crash, at least not every hour. It should be much more stabilized. At least the frame rate I can already notice. There's the objective. There we go. The wolf pelt. So let's grab the rest of them. Just in case you're interested, in the previous stream, we did our 5th world boss. But from now on, you'll notice I've been farming a bit to level up my dislodged spirit combat ability, and after doing that, I noticed that the game got automatically balanced after I changed the mod order. So probably that was the secret. And I have finally, after 19 tries, I finally fixed the game. So let me verify that it doesn't crash. And as soon as we verify that it's actually stabilized, I'll show you the mod order in case you are interested. So yeah, but I'll be happy to say that the game does work on Windows 10. You just need to properly apply the mod order. Going back to my skill tree explanation, as you can see, I've ramped up my defenses as I showed you. And right now I'm pretty hard to, it's pretty difficult to hit me. And you can see now, here you can see dislodged spirit working. See how it died almost instantly? That's because dislodged spirit is a pretty powerful ability. I swapped, what were we using? Before this one, we were using the, it's just that I changed the icons, and now I can remember the icon of the previous ability. We were using the other one from the Nether World, the explosion, the eruptive desecration, which wasn't very consistent because you had to kind of like target corpses on the ground, and it wasn't a pretty good targeting mechanic. I mentioned this, that hovering over enemies is not a very effective lock-on or targeting mechanic. In this game there's no lock-on, kind of like there's no C targeting, like pressing a button and focusing the camera around that target. I mentioned this story thousands of times, but in case any of you are still haven't heard it, remember that always The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, back during the 5th generation, fixed the camera, the problem of 3D gaming and camera targeting with the C targeting system, in which you think about Dark Souls. I know that nowadays we think a lot of this naturally, and for example when playing Dark Souls, Darksiders, or most modern RPGs, we press a button and our camera kind of like perfectly rotates around the targeted enemy. That's called the C targeting system, created during the 5th generation. Hey Crowbar! Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being the 26th follower of the channel. Thank you. You followed the stream while I was offline. So here, let me display your message again. Thank you. I'm always extremely thankful to anyone who takes the time to watch my streams and follow the channel. Yeah, if someone's streaming Sacred too, no problem. No. Thank you. I always say that I hate the word followers. I always like to say colleagues, because you are all an integral part of the stream. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. Yes, I'm streaming it since... it's been 19 days. 19 days. I'm doing a 100% completion, modded, and kind of like... it's a blind playthrough. It's my first playthrough of the game. Oh, whoa, awesome. Yeah. I discovered that this game, I analyze games, I review games here on the channel, underrated games that sadly, I feel so sad about this, I always mention it. I'm a bit melancholic, I'm a bit sad always about this. I stream games that generally were extremely underrated and sadly didn't get the recognition they deserved back in the day. And I started playing this. Um, Another viewer of the channel, called Scarlet Dragoon, also played this game as a. He was a beta tester of the game. He played it back when it was released, and as I played the game, when he accompanied me, I realized that it was incredible. I agree. I remember playing this back in the day. Still have my physical copy. Yes, it's amazing. Gradually as I played the game, I slowly realized that I had a gem between my hands, in my hands, and I gradually saw the immense world, and I started analyzing the aspects of the game. By now, since it's been 19 days, as you can see, I did a 100% completion of the initial area. All of the streams are over at YouTube in case you want to see them. I started with a review of the series, telling the story about the developers. I hate it when people never tell the story about the original developers. In this case of Ascaron, the German developer that developed these people. In case you want to know the story, I covered it in the first chapter. So yes, as soon as I began playing the game and analyzing the gameplay mechanics and reviewing the gameplay mechanics as I usually do with the rest of the games, the massive world, the incredible influence of the level design on the gameplay mechanics, something that I always pay a lot of attention to, it was incredible. Eventually I realized that the game had dungeons besides this massive overworld. We need one more wolf belt. It had dungeons that were kind of like handcrafted, and that those handcrafted dungeons had narrow passages. For example, just as one of the ideas that I noticed as predominantly important, it had narrow passages, and that perfect influence of the level design on the gameplay mechanics, because since the dungeons have narrow passages, just like Hellgate London, for example, you don't have a lot of room to maneuver and retreat when you are surrounded by enemies and killed, for example. And also the perfect usage, I praised the perfect usage of potions that the game has, the relationship. Hellgate London, another underrated gem. Yeah, well, you can see a constant here. That's what I do. I review underrated games from that period of time, more or less, and because they were all amazing, perfect. I'll be cozy here. Haha, feel yourself at home. Of course, thank you always for, as I would say, for every second that you spend watching my reviews. I always say this to anyone who's new on the channel. I know that right now, for example, the chat is alone, is a bit lonely, but don't worry. There are other people, and even so, I deeply enjoy my streams. Are designed to be kind of like a constant review of the game. So I have a lot of people who watch them as YouTube bots and love them. So yeah, that's the thing. Since I play older games, generally people watch me from work, for example, from their jobs, and I am always thankful for every second that you guys, anyone, spends watching my reviews. Sometimes they get a bit dense, in the sense that I sometimes use metaphysics to explain some things about games. Pretty crazy, but if you ever stumble upon my comments, you'll see what I mean. So yes, Hellgate London was also another game that I analyzed last year. Sounds interesting. You'll see. If you watch any YouTube bot, you'll see I had the developers of Havencast Rise of the Mage and Dungeons and Dragons, Dragon Shard, The Lord of the Rings, War of the Ring, and which was the other one? I always forget about that one. The original one from Liquid Entertainment. I had them watch my streams. So it's an interesting case. My streams. It's an interesting case. Kind of like game developers generally appreciate them more than, let's say, streamline audiences. Like you well, if you watch a YouTube, you'll see the crazy stuff we do. So as always, thanks, deep thanks. So yeah, Hellgate London, for example, also had that. The passages were extremely narrow, and I mentioned this. So this is the boss that we couldn't kill last time. Remember, in the top elements that you see up there, those colors, the top elements of the health bar of the boss are the attack types it has, and the bottom elements of the health bar of the boss are its resistances. I'm using fire damage, so we should be able to beat this guy. Let me try my new ability, my Dislodged Spirit. Alright, I didn't trigger my defenses. There we go. Let's see if we can kill it now. Remember, ghosts have a pretty high defense rating in this game. That's a naming convention for evasion rating. So it can evade a lot of my attacks. We tried to kill this boss the other day, on Tuesday, I believe. But now that I respect and have my Dislodged Spirit, we should be able to do it. Remember, my Dislodged Spirit reduces the stats of the boss regardless of what it has, regardless of how high the abilities are, by 44.9%, so that should make a difference this time. On Tuesday I didn't have that ability, that's why I respect. I needed something to take care of these bosses. Remember, world bosses in this game, they're pretty tough. They're kind of like the main difficulty source. But now I have a pretty decent defense to take them on. I mean, I cannot imagine playing the game on Mobium or Platinum difficulty, like I cannot imagine how tough it must be. Hey, is it recovering health or... I don't know. No, it's not recovering health. It doesn't have health recovery. Some bosses do have health recovery. Fortunately, I started this fight with 263 potions. See why I was prepared for today? It's like playing The Witcher 1. If you're not prepared, you are dead. Ah, damn it, The Witcher 1. So underrated. I fear that when they release the remake soon, CD Projekt has said that they are gonna release a remake soon. I will miss the. I'll still keep my copy of the original game because the combat system will be totally different. The original Witcher 1 has a completely different system. They use the Aurora engine from BioWare, and they, alongside the engine, the game engine, they brought with them a lot of ideas from classic Dungeons and Dragons. So it will be essentially different. It has a pretty high evasion chance, like... Consider that I ramped up my defenses to maximum, and it's still hitting me pretty hard. But I'm still being forced to use potions. Precisely, I was mentioning the relationship between the usage of potions and the gameplay mechanics of the game. Damn it. Careful, careful. We may have a better skill tree now, but we are not immortal. Careful, careful, careful. Need to. It's just a second. You lose focus for a second, and you are dead. When we tried to kill that bloodthirsty werewolf on Tuesday, I certainly learned my lesson. But I still believe that ghost bosses are the worst because they have that high evasion chance. Careful, it may be enraged. It's dealing more damage. But you cannot defend against my Dislodged Spirit. I came prepared for this. I think it's recovering health as well, somehow. Lol. Yeah, this game is like this, Crowbar. It's like this. It's like this. This game is like this. This is my 6th world boss. And Ghost world bosses are kind of like the most difficult. Like, I had to respect. Like, like on Tuesday I tried this boss fight, and hang on a second, and it's enraged. It's definitely enraged. He doesn't want to be killed. He doesn't want to drop all of that juicy and amazing loot. Now that was a long boss fight. Oof. Wow. That was a long boss fight. But I had a harder time with the Ghost Dragon. It really was. If you want to see something extreme, I think it's still not uploaded to YouTube, but soon it should be. The Ghost Dragon World Boss? Ah, well, we can do it, huh? If you want a demonstration, there's something even more extreme. Then we can do it. Then we can do it. The Ghost Dragon World Boss fight was even worse. Like, I think I spent an hour. That whole stream was about that a single world boss fight. Like, yeah, this game, I was mentioning, it has a lot of amazing ideas. For example, some days ago, I was reviewing the economic relationship between the usage of potions and the gameplay mechanics. For Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, I always use this game as an example because I think it's the perfect example to realize. In Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, the vanilla version had probably the most flawed relationship between the usage of potions and gameplay mechanics. Like, you could finish the whole game just spamming potions. Here, I spammed from 263 to 198 potions. But there's a catch. There's a catch. The price of potions in this game is proportional. It proportionally increases as you level up. So potions actually have a higher price as you level up, and that balances the usage of potions. Also, the way you use potions in this game is pretty difficult to describe, but if you press continuously spacebar, if you continuously spam potions, you lose a lot of them without any kind of sense. You have to properly time them. That's a good balance to be honest. Or to be F, but it's probably to be honest because it's close to the other one. Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing. In Hellgate London, for example, I remember that the balance between the usage of potions and gameplay mechanics, which is something that reviewers usually don't pay attention to, and it's quite important because it can break the game completely. It can completely break the game. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, an amazing game. It was originally an MMORPG. It was meant to be an MMORPG. Amazing game. I love that game. The vanilla version of the game, I don't know about the remastered version, but the re-reckoning edition. But back when I played it on, I originally played it on PS3 or Xbox 360. Back when I played it, you could beat the entire game just spamming potions, even if your skill tree was terrible. So yeah, essentially, it can break your entire game. And generally, I've analyzed this, but that's just a quick recap. I mentioned it. Developers of games generally try to do two things regarding another topic related to it, not the potions, but the loot system. For example, in this game is pretty well balanced as well, because the loot system, generally what happens is that we have two extremes. How does the player get the best gear? Through fighting the Omega Chad powerful world boss and feel good about it, and looting it from the corpse of the world boss? Or do we let the player buy decent gear from a vendor? Generally, what developers do is get afraid that the player won't have that feeling of satisfaction, of personal satisfaction, if they give good gear to vendors. And they usually go to the extreme of making vendors useless in games. And in this game, while vendors won't give you the best gear, as it should be, because otherwise you are destroying how addictive the game is, because there's no point in beating a world boss like the one we just did if it won't drop amazing gear. While that should always be the case, if developers go to the other extreme, polar opposite, vendors become useless. And in this game, vendors aren't completely useless. I bought decent things from them. Of course, in my case, since we're doing a 100% completion, we are looting a lot. We are doing a lot of side quests, and we are getting a lot of gear. As you can see, I have my inventory completely full, and I have no worries. But imagine we are not doing a 100% completion of the game, which is the normal way of playing the game because of how massive it is and because of how many side quests it has. Vendors would become properly balanced because you can buy decent stuff from them without making them useless or taking away the amazing feeling of beating that Omega Chad powerful world boss that will give you the best gear. Like, I think this game achieves a perfect balance in a lot of aspects. For example, what I was mentioning, notice how narrow some of the passages are. I always mention that the influence of the level design on the gameplay mechanics, it's paramount. It's kind of like extremely important. Like, see that here I have no room to run away. Compare that to a fight that we usually do, kind of like while traveling in the overworld of the game, and we can essentially retreat. You've seen me retreat countless times when I get overwhelmed, and essentially, if you can endlessly escape a fight that you are losing, you're also taking away that perfect feeling of that adrenaline rush from the player. You are taking it away, and it's incredible how the game balances that, because this game has the classic revolutionary idea that was originally coined by the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, that finally, fortunately, made the shift from procedurally generated overworlds and dungeons, both of them, that Daggerfall implemented perfectly so well. Morrowind made the perfect transition to handcrafted dungeons. In Morrowind, there are no procedurally generated, randomized dungeons. The correct term is procedurally generated, because they follow kind of like an algorithm of procedurally generating them. But randomized dungeons, and yes, it's incredible how this game has both level design ideas, because in the dungeons and also in the overworld, for example, the world bosses respawn at a fixed location. So they have handcrafted level design. But then, the normal spawns, I've noticed that they don't spawn at the same spot. Please move. Thank you. Move. That's my mount. It's a spider mount. We can mount it. Pretty good. It cost me 1 million gold. It can get killed. Mounts in this game can get killed. And you have to buy them again. Which which is quite expensive. It's better to be killed yourself than getting your mount killed in this game, in terms of the economy. Someday we need to read all of these books that we have. Someday I need to read the books. Hey! Now that I properly applied the mod, the user interface also changed here. Quite interesting. So my books should be still... Someday, I promise, we'll read all of the books. Like, we haven't read a single book since the beginning of the series, people. I promise that someday we will read the books, definitely. But well, maybe at the end of some stream we can read the books, because I'm honestly convinced that no one will want to watch the YouTube VOD with me reading books constantly, for example. But well, alright, so, but it's pretty similar. So, in terms of our quest, it's better to use the world map. There it is, the wolf belt. Let me call my spider, and let's get to it. So, we are much less squishy. Right now, because I've increased my defense. So basically, the only thing that could potentially touch us by now, it's a world boss like the one you just saw. But normal enemies with my new skill tree, I think they won't be able to kill me as much as they've killed us so far. In case you're interested, I just consulted with the character editor to do the respec that I mentioned at the beginning of the stream. I just read that we died 463 times. But that number will drop significantly from now on, because now the community patch is applied, the game is properly balanced, and we have a new skill tree with a decent defense. Like, we had 480, we were at 200, I believe. we were at 200, then at 350, and now with my new skill tree we are at 480. That should be more than enough. In this game has weird naming conventions as a flaws that I've encountered. The naming conventions it uses old school Dungeons and Dragons naming conventions. They could be somehow misleading. For example, calling accuracy defense value, for example. Let's get to the other side quests. So we have all of the side quests that we grabbed last time at Arthamak's Gate. And yeah, I basically want to cover the eastern section of northern Ancaria today. I want to cover all of the side quests. The most difficult one was that world boss, as far as I can tell. Then we have some quests that we grabbed the other day. And then we will explore all of these. There's probably something in here because I see a path. And then we'll get to the volcano, I guess, because it's part of that zone, of this zone. Perhaps we can explore this later. We'll explore all of these, and then we can go to the volcano. I am convinced that this section of the map can only be explored through the dungeon that we just got through. So yeah. I've also added shortcuts to my relics. Remember, relics basically enhance my defenses against damage types from enemies. So essentially, like this, I can swap them pretty fast, and thanks to that, I'll be able to kind of like adapt to the situation. I'm grateful that I realized how to assign those shortcuts, because I was kind of like playing without the proper defenses. Hey, those ones are hitting pretty hard. Though they were level 51. I'm over here. Alright. There we go. Ballista. You can fight mounted in this game, but you cannot use abilities, for example. By the way, guys, highly recommended. I mentioned this on Tuesday, but I'll do so again because it was just released. Highly recommended Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr. Highly recommended. I know I did it. I recommended it on Tuesday, but I'll do so again because it just received a major update, adding a lot of things, among them offline mode. It was developed by the same developers, by Neocore Games, the developers of The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. Amazing games. If you like Sacred, if you like isometric action RPG games, I cannot recommend Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr enough. Just like The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. I eventually thought about streaming The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing eventually, but considering how long Sacred 2 will be, that won't be until 2025 at this rate. Like, Sacred 2 has proven to be one of the most massive games ever created. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing, the design of the... that's why they were doing so much damage. They were dealing so much damage. I didn't have my frost relics. Essentially, as a recap, here you can see my defenses in this game. Enemies and both enemies and the player can essentially deal 4 types of damage. 5 that you see there. It's just that the default it's physical. Those types of damage, and you have all of those very same 5 types of armor resistances, and you can enhance them through the relics that you see down there in the top, in the bottom left corner of the screen. For example, here you can see this is magic, and see how the stats changed up there. See that the purple bluish section of my armor description was increased. See that the numbers also got increased. Magic, poison, fire, and ice. Previously to this stream, I didn't know you could add shortcuts to kind of like switch them on the fly, on the go. So yeah, pretty good. So let's turn in these quests. I can see a lot of similarities to Timotan the Forester. You found the peas. That's great. We're having pea soup tomorrow. Thank you very much. This is kind of like an isolated house. Pretty similar to... what was it? It was in World of Warcraft. The zone close to Alterac Pass in World of Warcraft. The one that was originally destroyed by Arthas in Warcraft 3. Thank you. You saved me here. You saved me, sorry. Here, please. No, I insist that you take it. You better. Okay.
Was a great success.
Right, we got a nested quest here. Talk to Mauran again. I don't want to keep you any longer, but I would like to recommend that you go speak with Morwan the Fisherman again. I'm sure that he has more interesting tasks for people like you. I think they forgot the he. Oh, and please give him this letter. It's just a few words of thanks that I wanted to say. Okay, there we go.
A bad wolf because I'm solving your
Back to Mauran. Okay, this zone that we are currently in is kind of like the zone close to Alterac Pass, if I remember correctly, in the Eastern Kingdom's continent. That central part of World of Warcraft that Arthas decimated with the undead armies in Warcraft 3, and in World of Warcraft you can see the consequences. See that it even has the same color palette as that central zone of the Eastern Kingdoms, with all of the undead. That's the fisherman. And these guys were stranded here. This is the only house. We are kind of like far away from civilization here, but well. Basically, you can see that here when I make the when you do the transition here, when we make the transition there, you can see that the color palette changes. I think it's a nice touch that adds a lot of amazing ambience to the game. Similar to World of Warcraft. I love it that it follows kind of like the same formula as World of Warcraft. Like, if I had to say, I've talked about this, about the genre classification, but now I am convinced that this game, while it has elements from... It essentially has elements from 3 genres, but I would say that the predominant one definitely is the MMORPG genre. I mentioned my arguments, but essentially the thing is that the level design of the game is so predominantly similar to an MMORPG that MMORPG is the predominant, so incredibly similar that the MMORPG genre is definitely predominant. You're back. Well, what news do you have for me? Oh, then Timotan and his wife are doing well. I'm glad to hear that. I was really worried about them. All alert for me. Let's see.
Has been accomplished.
Alright, we are unlocking more quests. We are at the edge of... Speak with the militia captain Gabelte. Oh yes, good old Timotan. He didn't need to thank me, sorry. Of course, I was going to help him. I'm sure that by now you recognize that the situation in this area isn't very safe. No, it's full of ghosts. Clearly, it's a clusterfuck. It's a dumpster fire. Most of the citizens from surrounding villages and farms have already moved to quieter areas. Those who stayed here founded a small militia to at least be able to put up a slightly organized fight against the Draconians, the crazy Viking guys with swords that we've seen, and the undead. No one expects any help to come from Baron de Mordre anymore either. I think you could help us out with a few of our problems if you have the time for it. Speak with Militia Captain Gabelte. You'll find him close by at our militia guard post, and that's it. You'll find him over there. Okay.
I will help you. In the name of the
As you can see, we're at the edge of the map pretty much. Ah, look at that. There's even more civilization where we were. I don't remember looking at the NPC, spotting the NPC. I mean, over there. Right. So I was mentioning the genre classification. Can we take a shortcut somehow without getting killed in the process? The genre classification, guys. This game, essentially, because of a lot of reasons that I mentioned, but roughly, the gameplay mechanics and the level design, it basically has three. Those are the Draconians. Those are the Draconians. They have fire resistance, but well. In terms of the genre classification, it has elements from the classic RPG genre, the isometric action RPG genre, and the MMORPG genre. I would say that predominantly, well, we all can agree that most games have elements from different genres. Even nowadays, it's even more blatant. Like you can see that action games have a lot of. They've been incredibly influenced to a high degree by the RPG genre, and they have, for example, in hack and slash games or in action games, plain and simple action adventure games, you can see a lot of RPG elements. As just to cite an example, Breath of the Wild transformed the formula of classic The Legend of Zelda from pure action adventure, kind of like almost without RPG elements, to many more RPG elements. For example, loot system. Breath of the Wild has a loot system in place, and before that, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, none of them had in place a well-established loot system. For example, you did, thank you very much, this is at the moment because those Draconians and the Ghosts of the North, they have a positive effect on Mora's merchants. If you're looking for more assignments, follow the southern path and speak to Maura.
That was almost too easy.
I've already talked to him. What the? Ain't this a dungeon we just came from? No. Ah yeah, we fixed the weather effects with the NVIDIA Fix engine. If today the game doesn't crash for the first time, I'll be happy. I'll be extremely happy. Militia Captain Gabelte. Ah, it was this guy, yeah. Now I can see that we have to kill the ghost Worldboss again. Greetings, we don't see many strangers around here nowadays. Ah, Mauran sent you. Is that old guy still sitting at the creek bathing with his worm? He's probably told you everything already. The ghosts and Draconians forced us to create a militia. This post here guards the entrance to the Crag Rock Valley. The place we plan to retreat to. Oh, unfortunately the valley is no longer safe.
Glory and power.
I think he means this area that I've still been unable to access. Look for Lady Mirwheel in the tavern. If you really are ready to do something for us, then go speak to Lady Mirwheel, Baron and Widow. You'll find her in the tavern called Lakeview. I know you're gonna say that's a strange planet. There's a simple explanation. Her villa was raided and burned down by Draconians, so she's been living in the tavern. Hour later, put a line for her.
They call me
okay.
a bad wolf because I'm solving your
I think it's a zone that we haven't explored. Let's get over there. Real quick.
Why do you bother me?
Move it. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, I need to get rid of these two guys that we are escorting here. They are part of two side quests that I assume it's one of these. Oh well. We need to, these two are kind of like, these two guys following us are kind of like escortees. Oh well, don't worry, they take no damage. Interesting. How do I reach that place? It wouldn't be the first time I get lost. Even if we have two maps, it wouldn't be the first time. But I think I see civilization through here. Could it be? This road? This small road should lead us to the lake through the mountains. Yeah, I see a flag. That means civilization.
You shall suffer.
Hey, look at this. Right at the edge of the map. There's I love that this game has so many hidden things. So many hidden... The attention to detail in terms of the design of the world map is absolutely amazing. Like, details at the edge of the map everywhere.
Recognize your mistake.
But as I was mentioning, the genre classification. For example, we can see that the game has an isometric camera, just like in isometric action RPG games, that we generally call Diablo clones, Titan Quest, Torchlight, of course Diablo 1, 2, and 3. Poor Diablo 1, no one ever remembers it. And it was the one, at the beginning of the Hellgate London series, I remember I covered the original article in which David Brevik, one of the creators of Diablo, finally made the transition from turn-based games to real-time combat and changed the paradigm of the classic RPG genre from Baldur's Gate that was real-time with pause with the classic Infinity Engine, real-time with pause gameplay combat system. And David Brevik changed that by turning the clock down to 0. Pretty amazing story that deserves to be told more often. That is sadly ignored nowadays. And it's amazing. It's amazing. It's a pretty good article that I remember covering. It was amazing. In the first part of the original Hellgate London series that I did. So David Brevik turned the clock down to 0, and it's amazing how that moment real-time combat was born for RPG games. Before that we had real-time with pause, which was amazing, but that changed the landscape. So, genre classification, the isometric camera of Diablo, the level design of an MMORPG. You can see that in Diablo 1, in Diablo 2, in Diablo 3, you don't have thousands. Well, not thousands because we have 700. Almost infinite side quests. Just as a reference, I think Borderlands has a bit more than 200, and that one is massive. God, I love Borderlands, by the way, but I think it's this way. It's definitely an isolated area, a secluded area, and I think you can only access it through here. We are getting into uncharted territory, So let's see what's in store for us. Hey, there we go. Crossroads. Hagstein, Bottomless Lake, Tavern Lakeview. That's the idea. Alright, I have no fucking idea where we are. Let me check them up. Interesting. Different flag. So it has the isometric camera of Diablo, but the level design is that of an MMORPG. If I had to say the most similar game to this one, it would unironically be Lineage 2, because it also has the isometric camera, but it follows the level design of having hundreds of quests of an MMORPGs. Like in Diablo 1, 2, and 3, it doesn't follow the level design structure of having thousands of quests, of side quests. I don't even know if side quests are a thing. Yeah, you have kind of like 6 quests, and I know, but they are chapters. They are not skippable. I don't think you can skip them, if I remember correctly now. By the way, highly recommended if you want to play a different version compared to Diablo 2 Resurrected. Median Excel, if I had to recommend a mod, Median Excel for Diablo 2, amazing. I think it has the perfect mix of new mechanics from Diablo 3 and the classic mechanics from Diablo 2, without destroying, let's say, the vanilla experience at all. If I had to say, Median Excel would be my top pick for Diablo 2 mods. Otherwise, play the Resurrected version, but it's kind of like only vanilla. Well, why can't I equip that ring? Because it's not a ring, it's an amulet. And I'm not gonna change my Arthamax star there, that gives me pretty good stats. We could engrave. I'll keep this amulet because 8.8 percentages are always more effective than fixed values generally in games. So yes. I'll keep that amulet. I'll keep that amulet to engrave it, to mod my gear. Yes, in this game you can mod your gear, which I think is another great idea, an amazing idea in terms of the crafting system. Modding your gear not only with specific designated items like runes, or generally there are stones or runes what we use in games. Not only those, but also with the blacksmith arts and rings and amulets. Oh, damn it. And people don't like fetch quests because they say they have no storyline. I love fetch quests from the early 2000s. Like, I think it's not fair to call them fetch quests, because even if they are not kind of like secondary storylines like in The Witcher 3, the level design influence is different. Like, you can lose... It's not the same go kill 10 mobs than, for example, escort an NPC, for example. So it has to do with the level design, so that's why I don't like to call them fetch quests, that we usually call them. Because like that you are saying that only the storyline is the important part of the quest, and the contextual level design influences, like what I said, you can fail a side quest because you had to escort someone. It's much easier to fail a side quest than killing 10 mobs, for example. The influence of a level design is not taken into account when you call them fetch quests. Like, you're only saying that they don't have a storyline. Like all games from the early 2000s, which have these quests like this, generally reviewers only take into account the fact that they don't have a storyline, and that's why they call them fetch quests. Not taking into account the level design influence or the gameplay influences. Get my deceased husband's notes from the ruins of our villa. You've seen the old watchtower where the militia captain has taken a position. He's guarding an old path that leads into a remote valley. We call it the Crag Rock Valley. We wanted to retreat there and start a new settlement, safe from the Thraconians and the ghosts. Unfortunately, the Thraconians have already discovered the entrance to the valley. So we can't settle there until they are removed and it's safe. I'm afraid I don't know what we can do to get the Draconians out of the valley. My dearly departed husband told me that he had already considered the problem and had written his ideas for a solution down on paper. When our villa was under attack, I had to flee in a hurry, so I didn't have time to get his notes. I barely managed to escape death as it was. Would you go to look for my husband's notes in the ruins of our villa once you've found them? Take them to the militia, Captain. Okay.
You should feel honored,
I
for
can
I
smell
will help
I
you.
can smell that. Bottom line, this quest will end with the very same world boss. And I just entered like a savage and killed the world boss without following the storyline once. Well, no worries. With our new skill tree, we'll be able to do it again. Good. Alright, I need to remember the path to enter this place. Like, there's something we have to grant to this game, is that it has also an impressive cohesion in terms of character development and contextual development. Like, if someone is isolated, it is truly isolated in relationship to the game map. Like, it takes you time sometimes, and this case it's not even the worst one. I remember that when we talked to the magic, it was a horse sea. It was a horse sea or something like that. The, they called it in a different way. The hippocampus, the magic hippocampus. Remember that we had to kind of like, just so you have a reference. The hippocampus was hidden kind of like in here at the edge of the map, and to reach that zone, you had to you couldn't access it through here. You had to go all the way through the contaminated and extremely perilous and dangerous the energy coast all the way through here. Remember, we went all the way here, take a boat here, and go over here. And I was trying to get kind of like through here. What I'm trying to get to, the level design of the game, it's amazing because it's not linear at all. And nowadays we get a lot of linear, dull world, open world RPGs. I'm not saying that every modern RPG has a dull open world, not at all. Like, no, we have excellent examples nowadays, but this degree of twisting paths and complexity of the level design of the overworld, there it is. Picked up the plan. It's getting less and less common, and for example, I don't like that. Especially in Ubisoft games, for example, I've noticed that open worlds are extremely linear. Like in modern Assassin's Creed games, they're extremely linear, and that kind of like destroys the idea of terrain complexity. And it's something that sadly reviewers don't take into account, for example, and then reviewers don't take it into account, developers don't take it into account, and it dies. It eventually dies if it's not taken into account. So, yeah. It's amazing for me to see that the game does have those twisting paths. We were mentioning some streams ago. Yeah, I didn't have to go back there. Ah, it's over there. Good. Oh, sorry, I wasn't even paying attention. Sorry. I took it for granted that we had to return to the same NPC. Sorry. We were talking that, for example, a lot of streams ago, that GTA had roughly the same map as this game in terms of square miles. However, we noticed that in this game, the paths, because of what I've been mentioning, because of terrain complexity, are much more twisted. They're much more. Some areas are much more difficult to access, and I think that is a perfect way of kind of like naturally, organically increasing the expansion of the open world of your game. Like, it's a very, very smart way of increasing the sensation, the overall 3D feeling of the player, the space uh, perception of the player of the 3D space. Like, if you make a map extremely linear, like in a lot of Assassin's Creed games, and by the way, I love Assassin's Creed games, I love all of them. Those are the Lordship's notes, right? Give them to me, please. I'm going to read them immediately. Let me guess. Get into the cave and kill the world boss again. Speak with Captain Blackheart. Oh, this is a nice twist. If it's a captain of a boat, we'll have to go to a Nordic section. In his notes, he says the Captain Blackheart has set up a camp with his men in Sea Lion Bay. The captain is considered an outcast among the Thraconians. It might be possible to get this captain and his men to join forces with us. The enemy of my enemy is usually my friend. The captain will get some gold and can take his revenge at the same time. How could it go wrong? I think it's a good plan. Find the captain, find this Captain Blackheart, and convince him to help us take back Crag Rock Valley. This will be interesting, people. We will get into that specific zone of Crag Rock Valley, just so you have a reference. We will have to beat the world boss again, so sorry. I didn't know that a nested side quest line was gonna send me over there, but well, we'll do it again. Fortunately, I respect. If the game doesn't crash today, I'll be so happy, people. Because that will mean that after 19 tries, I finally fixed it. So yes. Now, it did crash. The patch notes of the community patch say that it may still crash, but it should be significantly reduced. Not 100%. I've already consulted even at the Reddit forums of Sacred 2 with people like have been playing the game since launch, and they told me, yeah, you can reduce the crashes significantly, but even if you do reduce the crashes significantly, the memory leak may still always pop up at some point, like inevitable. But well, if we can get the game to run for 3 to 5 hours without crashing, that would be a huge improvement. People, trust me. Most people don't even make this game run. I've been told that, and I've seen it, and it has happened to me. Like, most people don't even get this game to open and run on Windows 10. Like, the amount of things that you have to do from the legacy driver and everything, it's there are so many steps that it's sad. It's absolutely sad. I mentioned this, that it's a tragedy that a game this amazing. I think the only way to get over there is to kill the world boss again. Huh? I mean, the objective is over there. It also could be through the coast, which would make sense, because the idea is to take back the valley to there. So let's try the coast first. Down there. Let's get to the coast. Like, let me assure you, I know that you've seen me, you've watched me struggle with the game for 19 days because of the crashes, because of the memory leak crashes, but trust me, that's nothing compared to what people have to deal with when trying to even run this game on Windows 10. Like, it won't even open. Without the legacy drivers, it won't even open, guys. It's sad. I mentioned this, that it's a tragedy. I mentioned it as a tragedy. It's an absolute tragedy that a game this good, this massive, and with so many incredible ideas doesn't get a remaster, and then we get things like the Mafia trilogy, or I don't know, the fourth remaster of Uncharted and The Last of Us.
And the wrath
We
of
get the fourth remaster, and those games would perfectly were perfectly working without a memory leak. Like if any game needed a remaster, it was pretty much this one. Like the community had to save it, and even so, well, today how much time has it been? An hour and 20 minutes. No, it could still crash easily. Huh? We're still in range of a crash, but well, we'll see. We'll see. It did crash to me. It did crash on me during my testing, but I had to force it, if you know what I mean. I had to kind of like grab the map. I grabbed the map and I started to constantly teleport to the different to the different portals of the game, kind of like one after the other, to force the crash. And even trying to force the crash, it lasted for 2 hours. So without deliberately doing something stupid like that, without trying that, it shouldn't crash for 4 to 5 hours if my plan works. But yes, just so you know, um, people don't even get it to run. Don't even get it to run because generally it's because they don't install the NVIDIA legacy fix driver. And I learned all of this because of this game recently. Don't think that I'm an expert or anything. But being completely honest, I learned a lot of things from the game on a technical level. For example, I learned that your NVIDIA modern physics drivers are completely separated from the legacy drivers that the game requires to even launch. Like, you need to have both of them installed. Yes, it will also fix some other games from the early 2000s. So, highly recommended that you install on your GPU, besides the modern fix engine that your drivers will give you, the legacy NVIDIA fix drivers. They are completely different. I originally thought that they would be overwritten. I need to update the guide over at YouTube. I originally thought that they would be overwritten, but no, they are kind of like separated. Completely separated, so highly recommended that you install them. It will also fix some games from the early 2000s. Pretty good. Highly recommended. XCOM, the Bureau, XCOM Declassified will also fix because it uses NVIDIA physics. The Bureau XCOM Declassified, pretty amazing game. That game had the same smoke, the same DirectX 11 smoke as Batman Arkham Knight, Batman Arkham Asylum, the original one. I'm just using my memory here, sorry. It used the same smoke, physics-based smoke that Nvidia developed back in the day. See, I was right. See, through the Worldboss dungeon, you can access the valley, but not yet. We need to go through the coast. See, I was right. See. We don't suck anymore. We don't suck anymore. I remember when I started playing the game. In the first stream, the first part was that I spent the first zone fighting without a weapon because I didn't know how to equip it. I started the game trying to fight without weapons, and I got killed over and over and over again in that first stream. Oh well, oh well. No, games back in the day had those thick physical game guides that would be bundled with the game, with the physical copy of the game, and those would teach you how to play the game. It was very, very common back in the day. Nowadays, we are used to not having that. The GOG and Steam copies of the game have them digitally. Thanks as always, Scarlet Dragon, for telling me that. Like that, I learned a lot of the mechanics, and I stopped sucking. And I stopped sucking people at the game. You like this area as much as I do? Another thing that the community patch fixed was I installed the revamped portraits module, which, as you can see, it's pretty good. Good looking. Similar, I think it uses assets from Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, if I had to guess. Oh well. Come visit me some other time. Perhaps we'll get to know more then. Alright, so we have to... This is a delayed quest. Like, we cannot access it right now. So that would mean that for now... Ah, no. That's a different quest. Sorry about the camera there. There we go. No, we need to take the boat. See, this is something that is a flaw. The transitions, I would have made them different. I think if you grab this boat, if you get close to this boat, you should go over... Ah, no. It's somewhere over there. This zone. Let me consult the local map. Okay, see what I meant when I said... Alright, there's a path over there. There's a path. See what I meant? There, up there. See what I meant when I said that the density and complexity of the terrain gives that perfect illusion of having a bigger world map in games. See why it is important to not have linear paths? Like, look at this. Bet you weren't expecting this. I expected some shit like this because I know this game. I know
It seems I have reached my
the philosophy, the level design philosophy of the game developers by now. But well, like this was a clear example of what I was mentioning. Like, having that high density and complexity of the terrain gives that gives that feeling, that amazing feeling to the player that the game world is much bigger. It's it's absolutely incredible, people. I love it. Pirate Captain Blackheart. Har. We are supposed to chase the Draconians out of the valley for 30 gold bars? That doesn't sound like a good deal. I'll do it for 40 gold bars. That's my final offer. What you say? Well, it's not me the one who has to make that call. It'll be
That was almost too easy.
the leader of the resistance, let's say. Alright, hope you enjoyed my shitty imitation of a pirate. Well, good then. 40 gold bars and we're in business. Just remember to have the gold ready. Things could get a little unpleasant if we don't get it right away. Send me the message when you're ready to do battle. Then we'll set out.
The Inquisition is said to be heartless.
Alright.
I will prove to you otherwise.
And we need to go back to... Good news. Okay, we're there. We need to go back to the encampment. I think it will be faster if I use a Resurrection Monolith. It will be more straightforward. Like, it'll be direct. So, people. So, looks like we finally fixed the game.
Do not confuse bravery with
Looks like it. Let's not celebrate because it has happened to me 1,000 times, and
ghost.
definitely I've learned. If there's one thing I've learned, whichever one you'd like, American or British English, is that no, when you hear that, that means the mount is about to die. And remember, in this game, it's better that you die instead of your mount. Why? Because your mount is extremely expensive. And if you lose your mount, you lose kind of like most of all of your capabilities. Hang on a second, I don't want you to kill me.
Power of the Inquisition.
You lose all of your transport capabilities, and essentially it'll take you a lot of time to go to the next quest, and it will make the whole process much slower. One thing I can recommend to you is that
This will be a witty conversation.
that if you want to play the game faster, you install the Super Spawn mod, which I think I deactivated it now because it was getting difficult to move. But if you want to farm, activate that mod, because thanks to increasing the, if you increase the spawn density of the mobs, you'll get more money and you'll recover much faster. I've done it to recover from losing mounts that die, for example, and you'll be able to farm many more enemies at the same time, and if you don't get killed, you'll be quite efficient, and you'll be able to recover your money much faster. On that note, something that I also wanted to praise about this game that I mentioned countless times, but just as a quick there we go. Good pathfinding mechanics. I know that nowadays it sounds stupid, but pathfinding was a real thing back in the day. Don't take it, never take pathfinding for granted in old school games from the early 2000s, because, for example, take into account, consider RTS games from the early 2000s, pathfinding was a big problem for them, and also in RPG games. Wonderful. I knew that I could count on ya. 40 gold bars isn't cheap, but at least now we can be sure that this campaign will be successful. I'm going to send a message to Lady Mirwell now. Please don't send me again as an Uber Eats simulator, please, if you don't mind.
And power.
It would be way too much, I believe. Find Swordmaster Theminius. Alright, no, it didn't send us. Now we have to get to the gold somehow. The people here aren't exactly rich. I think we might be able to save 6 bars from them. To get 6 bars from them. The old Swordmaster lives alone in Crag Rock. He might have some gold stashed away. Find him and ask him. But Crag Rock isn't the valley that we need to take. And then the people in the area to support us with gold. Cool.
Said to be heartless.
Alright, so cool.
I will prove to you otherwise.
Alright, it's over there. Let me take a guess. I have to use the other dungeon, not the one of the Worldboss. Interesting. So I was mentioning another great idea that this game had. Another great idea is the internal clock that measures how much time it has passed since you died, since the last time your character got killed. The more time your character doesn't get killed, the more, here I can show it to ya. I think we figured it out with Scarlet Raccoon. We found with his help. I found it here. Here you can see that my experience. All of these are kind of like the bonus stats. They're like the bonus stats, and some of them, not all of them, a lot of them come from my gear. Don't be confused. I know it's a lot of them. And they have pretty weird naming conventions, like for example attack value is actually accuracy and defense value is evasion. But for example the extra experience per kill and those things, those are kind of like the bonus overview. Let's all stop for a second and think how amazing it is that, what an innovative idea, what an ingenious idea it is that the more you stay alive, the better rewards, the better loot you get, but the more powerful enemies get. Now that I properly implemented the community patch, what we see, I don't know if you've noticed because it's extremely subtle, but have you noticed that in the loading screen, in the loading screens of the game, at the bottom, sometimes it would say that the more you stay alive, enemies will level up above your level. Previously to this stream, that wasn't happening, but now you can see 52 and I'm level 50. 52 and I'm level 50 up there. That means that the mod is actually working correctly, because now it's properly scaling. Before this, my mod order wasn't properly implemented, and for example that wasn't working. Right? So now enemies are scaling above my level gradually as I stay alive. The game has an internal clock counter, an internal timer, sorry, counting how much time you stay alive. And according to that, it'll make enemies stronger. Not just the level, bear in mind, not just the level, the gear that they have, we cannot see that, but the internal, supposedly, the internal gear that they have, the damage of their attacks, the accuracy of their attacks, the critical chance, all of those things are gradually increased as you stay alive. That degree of innovation, that amazing degree of innovation, for example, is something that was common back in the early 2000s and now we've sadly lost. It's a level design, it's a gameplay design, sorry. I was stuck with the levels. It is a gameplay design choice that rewards the player for staying alive. And it's amazing. And it's something subtle that, for example, reviewers don't pay attention to. And I don't like that. I don't like that because those subtle things are the ones responsible for giving the game this incredible degree of uniqueness. Like, can you name me a game that rewards you directly with this special stat, with this bonus stats, with these bonus stats? Because actually there's a lot of them, except for example, the white ones that you see at the bottom, at the bottom, right? For example, reflect chance melee. No, that's part of my character. That if you like, I can go in depth. That I have explained. Mainly, I picked for my first playthrough, I think the most complex character out of all of them. That started extremely squishy. We have, remember, 463 deaths up to now. I have the exact number. 463 deaths.
I'm banishing you.
Because we started extremely squishy. But now that I know how to control defense, the defense value, the evasion chance, we are doing pretty well. We're doing pretty well. So, can you name me a game, if you're watching this as a YouTube bot, please write it in the comments down below. Can you name me a game with an experience internal, with an internal timer that measures how much time you've stayed alive and then gradually increases the stats of enemies? It's extremely uncommon. All of these, let's say, unique ideas, all of these innovative ideas were extremely unique. Were extremely unique back in the day, and I'm glad that people experimented with them, that game developers experimented with them. Nowadays, we don't get enough of those. Like, hey, maybe it's through here. Nowadays, we don't get enough of those. Like, I honestly, personally, I cannot name a game in which the more you stay alive, the modern game, of course. The more you stay alive, the better rewards you get. Like, with a proportionally direct timer. Right, this is a dead end. So, let's go back and kill the Worldboss again, I guess. I mean, I don't see any other entrance to that valley. I don't see any other entrance. I wish I knew we would have this side quest and not kill the boss at the beginning of the stream. But well, you get 2 for the price of 1. Let's kill him again. What are you gonna do? I didn't know about this side quest line. So yeah, pretty much. Damn it! No! Stupid NPCs, I need to get rid of them. I need to finish those 2 quests. Fear not, we're doing pretty well. If the game doesn't crash, people, I'll celebrate for the rest of the day. Today we have plenty of time. I know that on Tuesday I had to go a bit earlier. I had a relative's birthday, that's why we started a bit earlier. But it was a special occasion. Won't happen regularly. So, as far as I can tell, that's the only entrance to the valley. As far as I can tell, there's no other way. So, let's get over there. Let's get to the end of the dungeon. Let's kill the boss again, I guess. I mean...
What is it? If their ears were practical, it would be one thing.
What
Do
else
we
can
already
fly
went over
or
here?
hear?
I think it's an isolated section. The only way to enter is through the... Let's do the world boss again. So we are doing world boss number 6 again because we need to get through this one, through this dungeon. So let's try that again. With our new skill tree, we should be able to do it. Now I see that I get killed after beating the world boss at the beginning of the stream. No. The idea is that with my new skill tree, and there it is. Shit. How much does did it last? 1 hour 40 minutes. 1 hour 14 minutes. Damn it. Damn it. Then I don't know, people. The memory leak is unbeatable then. Oh well. This memory, it lasted 40 minutes more than usual. It lasted 40 minutes more than usual, but I don't know. I don't know. The community patch is now properly applied. So many games with a remaster and this game with this memory leak. Like what I've said over at the forums, they told me, people who have been playing the game since the beginning, they told me, yeah, you can mitigate the memory leak, but you can never get rid of it, and they were truly experts on the matter, and they were right, definitely. They were definitely right. No, please, this song has copyright. No. I've already got a lot of YouTube bots muted because of the Blind Guardian sacred song. In case you're interested, the song, the official theme song of the game. My stream got censored, of course, because it's a real song. But you can watch it on YouTube. You have kind of like the original band, the original German band at the concert in Germany. You have the original one. You can read. You Google Blind Guardian, sacred, or this world is sacred, or something like that. You just write sacred and you'll see it. The band playing the same in-game song. Now that's a labor of love. Now let's get over there. Fortunately, the game has an MMORPG style real-time saving system. No? Alright, let's go over there fast and furious. Anyways, they shouldn't be able to kill me with my new defenses. Shouldn't be able to kill me. Now I have 454 defense, which is a lot of evasion. So that will be precisely what will allow us to beat the world boss and everything. So let me go over there. Again, I've also installed the improved portraits mod, and now we have the ability that I covered at the beginning of the stream, the dislodged spirit, the skeleton, the skull that you see down there. That ability will be the one that will allow us to kill the boss. You'll see. To kill it again. If you want to see how I killed it at the beginning of the stream, people, you can watch the VOD. But now we have to get through the dungeon, not just kill the boss. We have to get through the dungeon. I was a savage. I started the stream and I killed the boss out of vengeance. And now we have to get to that valley as far as I can tell and do it again. Alright, don't worry. With our new skill tree, we'll be able to do it. Quick recap, people. My defense chance is increased. And now I have that ability that I'll show you. It's called Dislodged Spirit. But yeah, there you can see that I'm barely taking damage. You'll see. You'll see. That's right. Explode. There we go. Here, let me show you. As you can see, this Dislodged Spirit has a pretty interesting effect, which is reducing enemy attribute values by almost 50%. And thanks to that, there's no. It's a much more effective offensive skill because there's no defense against that. There's no defense against getting your stats reduced. So it'll be more. It's a pretty weak attack. Like 272 damage is terrible for a combat ability. Compare it to Ruthless Mutilation, and it has more than basically double that damage. But that's not the main point of this ability. The main point of this ability is to reduce my opponent's attribute values by 10 seconds, and in those 10 seconds my damage output will be dramatically enhanced to the point that you'll see. Ghosts, remember that ghosts, even so, are pretty difficult to target, so it will evade a lot of my attacks, right? It will evade a lot of my attacks, but I'll be able to eventually beat the regeneration, the health regeneration stat of the boss, and I'll DPS it. You'll see it in action. As for the rest, here we have our trusty Frenetic Fervor and Paralyzing Dread, that basically enhances my attack speed and my evasion. Both of them, they are fully modded, and the Levin Array and the Clustering Maelstrom, they are simply generic area of effect damage abilities. The main ability that will do the heavy lifting here will be this Lodged Spirit combined with Ruthless Mutilation. You'll see. If the Worldboss respond, because I killed it at the beginning of the stream, I don't see it. Ah.
Body or none, you shall suffer.
Damn it. So it didn't respawn. Damn it. I wasn't expecting that. I thought they were procedurally generated. Maybe they have a cooldown, because I faced the Ghost Dragon Worldboss offline, and I killed that one. Maybe. So Worldbosses have an internal timer cooldown, like a real MMORPG. Because the game just crashed, so that should have refreshed it. Oh wow. So it's like in World of Warcraft, that world bosses have a timer. So it could be days until it respawns, for example. Interesting level design choice, people. Alright, so the server somehow, the game has an offline server. It somehow keeps track of when you kill world bosses. Quite interesting, like an MMORPG. Wow. Pretty good. Then we'll come back on Tuesday and see if it responds. Because that would indicate that the game follows that the game server has kind of like a timer, like all MMORPGs have, to like kind of like a lockdown period. I don't know if you play the game, an MMORPG like that, like in World of Warcraft, or in my case in Star Wars: The Old Republic. There was a lockdown period in which you couldn't do raids or world bosses, essentially. So the game does have a lockdown period. Quite interesting detail. So we'll return on Tuesday real quick. Next week, of course. We'll return on Tuesday to see if it respawned, because the Ghost Dragon Worldboss did respawn. That would indicate that the game has as I've said, a real lockdown period for the world bosses. Probably put in place just so players wouldn't endlessly farm them. It does make sense now that I think of it. That I never thought that when they made the game offline. I hope there's an exit here, because I don't see any other way to get to the Crag Bolly there. Ah, yeah, there it is. Precisely. Okay, so interesting information. An interesting piece of information. Crag Rock. Yeah, I was right. It was through this dungeon, people. I was through this dungeon, and we didn't need to kill the boss again. Okay. Alright, we're getting into uncharted territory, the very edge of the map, as you can see. Well, I mean, the real edge would be here, but the edge of northern Ancaria for sure. So, Draconians generally deal fire damage, so let's change to our fire defense. Yes, now I have shortcuts and I can change my defenses on the go. Like you can see here that I can increase my elemental defenses on the go. Let's change from ice to fire because the Draconians deal fire damage. You can spot it at the top bar there. Let's ensure we don't get killed here. You can spot it at the top bar there. The color of the top bar of the health bar of the enemy that I'm targeting. There you can see that it deals fire damage. 50% fire damage, 50% physical damage, and the armor is roughly 75% physical damage and 25% fire damage. But well, there you go. That's another positive aspect of this Lodged Spirit. As you can see, it's ice damage, so it blends perfectly with Ruthless Mutilation, that is half physical and half fire damage. This one is quite effective against enemies that is not effective against ghosts, but living beings, because ghosts generally have ice defense, but it doesn't matter because, as I've said, the reducing opponent attribute values by 50%, it's way too good. And yes, another aspect that I had to take into account in terms of the skill tree is that if you level up your abilities beyond your overall mastery of the skill tree branch, you get a penalty. There you can see that my ability level is 24, right? If I get beyond 25, there you can see it's pretty self-explanatory. Highest combat art level without penalty 25. If you get beyond 25, you get a huge penalty to your cooldowns. So I read at the forums that you can ignore that and go ahead and deal with the penalty if you spend a lot of points on stamina, because it decreases regeneration time, combined with also concentration, that also decreases regeneration time, combined with Netherworld lore, that reduces regeneration time as well. You can somehow mitigate that and enhance damage. I have to test that theory, but so far I did notice a reduction. Like this is at 37.6 seconds of cooldown, and the game, and it was previously close to 70. Like 70 seconds of cooldown is brutal, way too brutal. Like the ability becomes useless at that point. And consider that I also have a 0.7 regeneration time per hit. That also helps me. Otherwise, the build would also be fairly unviable, if you ask me, because you also need to take into account the regeneration time. And in this game, every time you level up, your regeneration time increases. So it's a good way of balancing abilities and ensuring the player doesn't simply increase damage. The stat system is pretty well designed, like expertly designed, because you have regeneration time, accuracy, evasion chance as all stats that prevent you from min-maxing. Like, if you know what I mean, they make you at least consider not just spending all on damage like we usually do, for example, in Diablo. Hey, what's that? We're talking to a burning skeleton. Wolf Winkleman. Do you like this area as much as I do? Come visit me some other time. Perhaps you'll get to know more than good. But that's not our objective. Our objective is over there. Can I enter this house and loot and pillage everything that's in here? Nothing at all. I don't see anything. Let's get to the objective. Let's see if we can finally bring peace to this secret remote area. Let's see. We are literally at the edge of the map, people. Like, I read a comment over at the Steam forums while finding the the correct order of the mods for the community patch saying, who's crazy enough to do a 100% completion of the game the first time he plays it? I was like, yeah, literally me. Literally me. What did you know? Swordmaster Theminius. Welcome to my humble home. Yes, it's true. I used to be a great swordmaster until I took an arrow on the knee. No, 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 no. The classic phrase from Skyrim. No, 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 no. I was an adventurer like you until I took an arrow to the knee. Like I've seen a lot of games that phrase just as a meme right now. My eyes aren't what they used to be though, and my reflexes are also slowing down. I'll teach the citizens of this area how to fight with a sword. Alright. Finally, people, we got to the edge of the map. Consider that under normal circumstances killing a world boss that we killed at the beginning of the stream in a pretty savage way. But yes, we got to the edge of the map, finally. Speak with my daughter. We have nested quests, even in this remote location. Speak with my daughter Sylmia. The militia needs gold. I only have about 7 gold bars stashed away under my pillow. We just need now the tooth fairy coming for the gold, and we have a complete tale there. There is a small underground area close to here. A long time ago, before my niece. No, 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 people, I knew it. No, I knew it. I knew it. No, no, my niece. No, my niece started giving me problems. I was down there once and saw a chest with a crown in it. I was an adventurer like you until I took an arrow to my knee. God damn it, it had to be there. It had to be there. God damn it, it had to be there. I didn't think anything of it at the time and left it lying there. Somebody probably forgot it, and I don't take things that don't belong to me. This crown might serve as our purpose. My daughter Sylmia goes to the area often to collect herbs. Find her and talk to her. She might be able to give you a few pointers.
You have a debt to pay.
It had to be there, people. It had to be there. Skyrim made that a meme, but this game is previous to Skyrim because Skyrim was 2010 and this game is from 2008, sorry, and Skyrim was from 2010, from 2010, but they might have introduced this in an update. I don't know. That's suspicious. Like the game that popularized that the knee meme was Skyrim, definitely. Maybe they updated the game just to include that. That would be wild. That would be wild. Like, it would officially turn this into a tradition. I was an adventurer like you until I took an arrow to my knee. Like every guard in Skyrim would tell you that. I cannot believe it. I hadn't read it. Probably when you guys were reading it before I did, you said, there's a knee, there's a... Oh god damn it. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting to find the knee reference for the 10th time in a game. Like that reference is in so many RPGs just as a meme right now. Like by now, sorry, it's pretty much a meme. Like you have to include that at some point in your RPG. Alright, the objective is through that spiky and dangerous valley. Through there, I guess. It's pretty difficult to navigate through this terrain because there's no road at all. But I think it should be through here. I mean, there's a road. God, I mean, I wasn't expecting to find the knee reference. Look where they've hid away the knee reference, like here. And you start the game here. Like, most people will miss this reference. I don't like that people will miss that reference, but well, we didn't. We never do. Because we do 100% completions. That's the interesting part. And I read all of the dialogues. Pretty good, pretty good. See why I always love to do 100% completions. Those details are usually, this has happened to me so many times that like,
Totally overloaded.
totally overloaded. We also got some legendary wrist guards, something along those lines. 28 plus 4 frenetic fervor, blah blah blah. Whoa, wow, 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 wait a second. Plus 22 attack value and defense value. Remember, naming conventions in this game are weird. That should be read as accuracy and evasion. That's amazing. Straight up, it's not part of a set or anything. It's not part of a set or anything. That's amazing. Opponent's health for death blow 25.7 per. What the fuck? What a weird stat, people. Opponent's health for death blow. That could be one of those crazy items that if your opponent's health is below 25.7%, we get an automatic kill. Could it be? That thing, you cannot mod it. You cannot mod it. Like, it doesn't have slots like this one. So I would lose a bit of my reflection chance, but... That's incredibly powerful. I do have 16 attack value from that. But this one also has defense, and that crazy... What a weird reward we got from coming here. Weird but amazing. Let's try it out. I honestly never thought that any wrist guards would beat Orsh's Inquisition. What's our melee reflection chance? 30%. Chance to reflect melee 30%, and with this one, I think it was a negligible amount. 30.6% plus 22.7, the one up there. 22.7, so now it should be reduced to 20 or something like that. 19.3. Alright, so they are actually... Okay, so we... actually our reflection chance was actually close to 50, not 30. Oh my god. It's actually close to 50, that's why we are dealing so much damage. Oh, Sylmia, there you are. What? Are you looking for me? Yes, I'm Sylmia, daughter of Theminius. How can I help you?
Task has been accomplished.
Giving me the quest. Let me see if I can fix the camera for this one. Like that. Perfect. Snatch the crown away from Beastmaster Throwwall. You're here for the crown. I hate to tell you this, but you're like, oh, 4-star. I smell Worldboss. And here I thought that we were done. But you are too late. I saw a Draconian go in there just a few hours ago, so I watched and followed him. I saw him take the crown, then I fled from the cave as quickly as I could, so that he wouldn't see me. The Beastmaster looked pretty dangerous. I haven't seen him come out yet, so he must still be in the cave. Reward 24,000 gold. Okay, on 4 stars, that indicates Worldboss generally. And say it says Golden Crown, and it's the end of the quest line, and it's the end of the map. So, people, get ready, because we are getting a second Worldboss today. Alright, we've already killed the ghosts. So the ghost was actually the